right, booze loving fam. Today we've got Fistful of Bourbon, which was sold to me as a bourbon that is a great segue from things like Jim Beam, Jack Daniels, like, you know, your standard, you get this whiskey because it's the only one you know. So going from that and starting to explore other whiskeys and also thinking about what kind of flavors that you want in your whiskey. So the Fistful is made up of your 5 fingers. So the whole idea behind this is that it's a blend of 5 different bourbons, and they're all supposed to help pull together and bring into like perfect balance the like 5 core things that these particular blenders feel like are like your basic tasting notes for most bourbon. So you've got a balanced sweetness on one finger, green leafy floral notes, soft spices, buttery toffee, and then like cinnamon, licorice, like baking spice. So all things that, you know, are very, very standard tasting notes. It is worth noting though that the people who actually blended this. So the bourbon itself won double gold in 2019, and then the 2 people who are blending it, Brian Kinsman won Master Blender of the Year in 2017, and then Kelsey McKechnie, I don't know, her name is spelled super weird. Anyway, so she is the youngest female malt master apprentice. Titles, man, they're wild. Anyway, these people have been doing it collectively like for quite some time and have won a significant amount of awards. So it lends to reason that this is probably going to be pretty good. Now, I know that it looks like I've already tried this because this has obviously been opened and there's some missing, but I have not. Some other people had some out of this bottle, but it wasn't me. So as always, you are getting my very like first look at this bourbon. So obviously, since I have been drinking out of these Norland glasses, there's not a whole lot to be said about color because it's the one disadvantage with these glasses. Also, sometimes they spontaneously explode, which is crazy. Who knew? Okay, so as far as the scent goes, I'm not overly impressed. I mean, it just smells so basic. Weird. Okay, so the aroma, not super really not a whole lot of anything. It smelled super basic, kind of smelled just like, it kind of smelled like Jack Daniels, to be completely honest. It had that kind of like sour mash smell to it, but the flavor is completely different from what I was expecting. All right, so the predominant flavor here is definitely butter. There's a lot of butter in the middle, but there's a weird nuttiness kind of in the finish. So it almost goes like, where they're saying they have green leafy floral notes, I'm not getting green leafy floral. But in the beginning, there's definitely some very, 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 very subtle floral qualities. However, they are completely annihilated by this buttery middle and this sort of like nutty, almost peanut buttery finish. And then it's just drying spice all the way through the end. And honestly, the finish is a little hot. As it continues to evolve, I definitely do get cinnamon. And it's like cinnamon stick. So like there are different kinds of cinnamon sticks. There's like cinnamon that's more towards the sweet end, and then there's cinnamon that's more towards the spicy end. This is like a cinnamon that's more towards like the spicy end of cinnamon. And it's not to say that it is spicy, but the cinnamon characteristic itself is like a spicy cinnamon, but you have so much sweetness in there in that middle bit that it really balances that out. And so the cinnamon's actually really, really nice. It's probably my favorite tasting note that I'm picking up. Okay, so I just got a drop of water in there just to see if it opens up any. That changed it quite a lot. It usually does, but This is quite a lot. So once you've opened it up with a little bit of water, it becomes way more basic. Like, it was already like pretty basic, but now it's just like some of the more like subtle things that I was picking up. Even that cinnamon is pretty much gone now. Now it mostly tastes like corn, like fresh corn on the cob that's not quite cooked all the way. There's like almost like a vegetal thing once it's been opened up with some water. But it definitely took that heat out. It's not drinking as hot anymore. All right, so final thoughts on Fistful of Bourbon. It's not terrible. It's not a bad whiskey, but it does definitely taste like just about any run-of-the-mill whiskey that I've tried. However, that said, I do feel like there's something to be said there for the skill that went into blending this. I mean, that is literally what they were going for. They were literally going for a bourbon that is in a affordable price point. For reference, you will probably find this somewhere between $20 and $25, which is not terrible. I mean, that's around the same price as you would pay for like Jack Daniels. And this is way, way better than that. And it definitely brings in a lot of like my favorite things from different bourbons that I've tried. But I don't necessarily think that all those things always need to be there. So I definitely think that this is a good segue for somebody who's already drinking whiskey but wants to start experimenting, because of the fact that there are like some subtle flavors to pick out, but it's not super difficult. I think that this is something that can make someone feel like they are a little more experienced because they were able to pick up those notes, and it will set them up for future successes with, some whiskeys that are a little more complex and a little bit more difficult to taste through. So would I recommend it? Yeah, on a case-by-case basis. So if you're someone like me who has been drinking whiskeys across the board, and you have like a lot of different whiskeys you like, and you're drinking a lot of really complex whiskeys, man, you probably won't super enjoy this. It's good, but you're not going to be like, oh yeah, that's amazing. You're going to be like, that's a little lacking, and there's nothing wrong with it, but I've definitely had better things. But this is definitely for someone who's been just drinking whatever whiskey their parents drank, and now they want to like start branching out and trying some new stuff. This would be a great starting point, especially because of the fact that it's affordable. Also, you have the fact that it's won a bunch of awards, so that's also an indication for like a new person coming into the whiskey world that, hey, this is a great place to start. So that is my take on Fistful of Bourbon. Take that information, do with it what you will. Thanks for watching.